Cavalier Corner, a show in which we'll be discussing fun topics related to student life. My name is Juliana, and we are joined today by Cambry, Johan, and our very special guest, Andrew. We'll be discussing different types of personality tests that we took and our results. And if you'd like to take this personality test, their links will be in the description down below. And don't forget to share your results in the comments. Right, so the first one that we took was the Innogram Test, which is a personality typing system that describes people and how they conceptualize the world and how they manage their emotions. It has 9 different types of personalities that view the world through different lenses. So, Johan, what were your results?
So my results were on the Enneagram test, I got type 2, the helper, which basically meant that I love to give. I love to always be the shoulder that everybody needs when people are having trouble. And my biggest joy is to help out, to give. And I think for me, that does resonate a little bit. I've always loved to help. I've always loved to give back to the community in some way. Like during high school, I used to do a lot of community service, and not just because I was in this NHS, but like just because I wanted to. Like for Thanksgiving, I would go out and give Thanksgiving food to those who needed it. But yeah, and like apart from that, I also got my superpower, which is discipline. I mean, I can agree with most of it. Most of the time, I do procrastinate like everybody else, but when I get serious in my work, I'll always get serious about it.
I like that though. I feel like a lot of us tend to procrastinate, but when it's time to like actually to actually focus and do it, that's
when it's due in like 10 minutes.
It's skill to have.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cambry, what were your results?
So I was a 98% match to the type 5, which is the investigator. So investigators are usually very resourceful. They're lifelong learners. And I definitely like see that in my personality. I always think you can learn anything from any situation that you're in. There's also a joke between my friends and family that I'm very resourceful. So my whole family's that way. So like literally we can turn we'll be like, oh, especially like when I'm writing a paper, I'm like, I can do a lot with a little. Like it's like 5 pages. I'm like, I can do that on one topic. Like I can just keep going and going and going. And then the personality superpower was ambition. So kind of like what Johan was saying, like I do sometimes find myself procrastinating, especially that last half of school when it was online. I'm like, it's online, it'll be there. But like when it's time to get things done, I'm like all in, ready to go. Because like the best like papers are the ones that are written right before that due date. You know, that extra little pressure, that little bit of pressure on it. Perfect.
Only you.
Oh yeah, but I relate to that. I feel like the best papers I've written were like 24 hours before it was due. I like started typing. Turns out apparently.
I cannot write good papers that way. Usually the ones that are the best for me, if I start them like 2 days before it's due, and then come back to it. But
I remember last spring semester I had a paper due on Tuesday of spring break, and it was the first Sunday of spring break. And I was like, I'll just write the first paragraph. And then it was supposed to be 5 to 6 pages. And within an hour, I wrote the whole paper. And I was like, what? Where did this come from? And I was like, actually, I think it'll work. So I was like, I'll give myself a little more time. So that was like the one time that I like did not procrastinate and actually got it done. And I was like, this is good. But it just literally was like all in one setting.
No, I would like to do that.
I've like called out entire days to just like sit and write a paper.
Or I'll type like a whole paragraph in like a minute and be like, that's beautiful. And then I'll be like, you know what, I think I just kind of need to set on it for a little bit. And then it'll take me like 30 minutes to get another idea for the next paragraph.
Yes, I've had those days for sure.
I feel that.
Andrew, what were your results?
Okay, I was the type 3, known as the achiever, and I think that's kind of makes sense. One of my superpowers was ambition, and I don't know. I think it kind of fits. I think I took the Enneagram before we did it, and I remember being a different number. I think like a 7, but I definitely see myself being a 3 much more. They're known for like being able to fit into like any environment or workplace and like do really well. They're highly adaptable, which is something that I think that I've like seen in my life throughout like just working in different places or meeting new people. I'm always really quick to like make friends with everyone and make the best of a situation. And then let's see, there was the downside to it is that sometimes I focus too much on my ambition and I forget about my like the other life that's around me. Is kind of the downside that 3s usually fall into. But that's the best part about the Enneagram, I think, is that it gives you kind of how your number relates to all the other numbers too, and like your strengths and weaknesses, which is nice. So you can kind of like see them and then address them in your own life, which is cool.
Yeah, I think that's a pretty cool part of the test too. Just kind of compare and contrast with like, I'm really good at this, but I'm bad at this, and I can work on this and this.
Yeah.
Really, I love that. For me, I was a type 4, so the individualist with like a 99 to 100% match, which basically just means that I like creative forms of self-expression. So any type of art, any form of like expressing yourself through like writing, drawing, singing, everything. I also just like to take like an intricate approach to problems. So I like the abstract ideas of like existentialism and all that kind of stuff. It's just keeps me entertained, and it's just I take longer to solve problems, but just because I take that like weird angle to it, but I still get it done like good enough. And I think my personality superpower was analysis. So again, in any decision making, I like have to analyze every route, every possible outcome to my decision before I actually decide which one is the correct one. Because I like my fear is to do an impulsive decision that leads to like a catastrophic outcome later on. Yeah.
That's really good. That it's important. And before you make it.
Yeah, you're definitely a thinker. It's kind of analyzing everything, but that's a good skill to have.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's pretty good, and then at some points when I have to like react quickly, it's not good at all.
ups and downs for sure.
Yeah, it really does. Right. So the next test that we took was the Big Five model, which is basically the idea is that the human personality can be measured along 5 major dimensions. So it describes people in terms of traits on a spectrum instead of categories. So Cambry, which one did you get?
So I got conscientiousness, which at first I was like, and what is that long word? This one I thought was really interesting. When I took it, I didn't really have any strong, like, over 90% matches. Like, I was only an 83% match to this. And it's usually people that are very, like, self-disciplined and very goal-oriented. So that kind of fits back into what the results for the Enneagram were. It also says that they are always people that are working towards the future, which is not a way I would really describe myself. So I thought that was kind of odd because I'm always very like, the future will happen when it happens. Like, this is now. But yeah, like I have seen like parts of it, like especially like overlap with the Enneagram. Like I felt like there's a lot of overlap in these two of being very like goal driven, very ambitious. So yeah, I thought there was actually a lot of overlap between these two tests.
Yeah, I definitely found that too, with like the creative side that I talked about. Like it constantly showed up throughout like all the tests that we took. I'm like, yes, they're correct about something.
Yeah, and like another thing, like both the Enneagram and this one, the Big Five pointed out was that like my second match on the Enneagram was the perfectionist, and there's also a lot of that in the Big Five. And so I'm like, yeah, that's probably true. Like some like, and I noticed that like especially like when Juliana would make the like mood boards and stuff in the phone room, everything was always straight and then like perfect, and it just like I really appreciated that. I was like, that's how you do it. Like not like things are in a line. If they were supposed to be kind of crooked, they look like they were supposed to be crooked.
Just beautiful.
The like bows were always perfect. I was like, yes. It made me execution. I love that.
Oh yeah, I definitely like things to look like pristine and like in order. Like yeah. Right. So Johan, what were your results on this one?
So, my results were, so I was 83% open, I guess openness. And honestly, at first it did catch me by surprise because I have always thought of myself like Cambry, like a perfectionist. Like I always want things very detailed, very like in order. So to think that I am abstract minded and I love being creative, I mean, in a sense, yes. But at the same time, there's that saying that like everybody's creative in their own way. Like no matter what, like you might not think you're creative, but you really are. Just in like, I guess your specialty. So I thought that was really interesting, and I feel like I can be creative when I want. You just like have to find that in yourself.
Right.
But I thought that was pretty cool. Like it fits to like what I'm doing in my career, so I really liked it, and I like that test as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I like that it like helped you sort of discover like different sides of your personality. Pretty
Mhm.
cool.
And I think you're right. I think everyone is kind of creative in their own way. Like everyone's creativity flows a little differently.
Yeah.
For sure. Andrew, what were your results?
Okay, so mine was extroversion um, at 83%. And honestly, I was a little bit surprised by it. Like I've always been outgoing and, like a people person, but honestly, like people exhaust me. And if I want to like recharge or clear my head, like I need my alone time. Um, but then I was kind of like diving into their breakdown of the extroversion, and they really described it as people who chase like the feeling of emotional payoff. They like to earn their relationships, um, and that was something that like really resonated with me. I always like to feel like um, I earned it, or like I put enough work into like a relationship that um, I'm like that's why me and someone are so close or something, or I don't know. It feels nice to be able to work towards a relationship like it's a goal too. Um, and I think that's where like I kind of really see myself in that extroverted position, or else I honestly probably wouldn't have classified myself strictly as an extrovert. But yeah, it was a fun test.
Yeah, it was really fun for sure. I feel like that's kind of cool to be like extroverted in that kind of way. 'Cause I feel like I can relate to that, but also wouldn't be extroverted in probably any other way than that.
Right. And I mean, I definitely do like big crowds and being around a lot of people for sure. So it may make sense. I just can't do it like all day.
Yeah. I relate with that for sure.
I really.
For me, I got openness as my top trait with like a 98% match, which was kind of surprising, I guess, for me. I do consider myself pretty open, but I guess I didn't think that was like one of the like biggest things I would have an affinity towards. Obviously, I'm like very creative. I love anything related to art, which the Innogram also showed like a lot. So in that way, both of these tests sort of like combined their results, and they were like, okay, so it's pretty much the same thing throughout, which is kind of cool.
It's always nice when you take a few tests and they kind of line up with each other.
Oh yeah, it really is, because then you feel like, okay, I see the pattern here.
Right. Because I don't think that any one test really tells you everything. And I think some tests maybe look at different aspects, you know?
Yeah, for sure. They have like different ways of analyzing. So it's not like
Right.
one has their own unique way of like describing you, and you can like learn something from each of them, for sure.